Someone had to say it. Welcome back to Someone Had to Say It. Today, I interviewed a very special mother and daughter duo. I met Layla and her daughter Nurhan at a psychic and medium convention a few weeks ago. After my father passed away, I was searching for a medium to connect me with him. Because his death was so sudden and completely unexpected, I was and still am spiraling with trying to come to terms with it. Layla is a certified quantum bioenergy healer who has worked with people all over the world. She utilizes quantum energy for personalized healing sessions, addressing physical or emotional health issues. Nurhan is a life and wellness coach who helps people uncover practical and real-life solutions to their challenges and struggles. Just wait till you hear how we met and what Layla has shared with me from my father. Enjoy! Welcome, Layla and Nurhan. Am I pronouncing it right? I was trying to make it very ethnic.
Yes, you actually pronounced it really well. One of the first people to do that.
I know, right?
Oh, my biggest pet peeve is when people butcher people's names. I absolutely hate, like, so many people say Iran instead of Iran.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I just,
Yeah.
it's not, you have to pronounce names and countries the way they pronounce it there, right? Like,
Yeah. Actually,
it's
I think they stopped saying Turkey now. They changed it to Turkey,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
like the original, just recently. Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Well, the biggest thing that was driving me crazy was when this whole war started, with Russia and Ukraine. They kept saying the Ukraine. I'm like, why? What is this? The Ukraine? Do you say the United States? The Russia? It was anyway, but that's not why we're here. So, first of all, I want to thank you both for being here because it's super important to me, and this was a very selfish podcast because I have a million and one questions for you both, and I'm sure we're gonna run long, but you're welcome to come back and we can talk, on a regular basis. So, first of all, I would like to share with our listeners how we met, and then things will just kind of click why we're here. So, we could both share the story. My story, I'm going to try to make it short, but my husband and I went to a psychic and medium convention in Irvine a few weeks ago. It was well over a month ago. And the only reason got the tickets and I wanted to go was to connect with my father who had recently passed. He was less than 2 months. And I was there solely to find a medium. So when we got there and we started walking around, and I did not feel a connection with anyone. There was two so-called mediums there. One was very handsy with people, and he was rubbing women's thighs and legs and arms.
Oh my
And
God.
that was a big turnoff for me. And my husband kept saying, "Oh, go, he's a medium. He's got a line. Let's sign up. You'll talk to him." I'm like, hell no. After I watched which, everyone operates different. That's fine. But in this day and age, I'm hoping she gave him consent, but there was a lot of touching. And it was I did not want to be touched. I just wanted to connect with my father. That was all.
I'm not connect with that either.
I did not want to be sexually,
Yeah.
molested at that point. So maybe later. But my point is, then there was someone else, and I kept waiting for her and waiting, and she kept talking to other people. And then I just looked at my husband. I said, "This is not meant to be. Nothing is clicking, nothing is happening." And he kept saying, "There's a woman over there, and she does energy healing, medical, physical, whatever healing. So let me just go. I just want to go talk to her." I said, yeah. Okay, you go talk to her. I kept walking around. I went to listen to a talk. And then when I went back to see him and what was going on, Layla looked at me and said, "Oh, you Russian." And I thought, well, how the hell does she know? But my necklace, I had a necklace on, and in Russian, it said Zainka. And those are what, our listeners are not Russian speaking, it's just a pet name. My dad used to call me Zainka, which is a bunny, little bunny, rabbit, something, right? So in this day and age, after Russia invaded Ukraine, you never answer that question. Yes, I'm Russian, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, I don't know this woman. What am so I kind of stood there. I wavered, right? I didn't say anything. I probably seemed very standoffish. And I just said, well, I speak Russian. And she said, yeah, yeah, me too. And then she saw the little Star of David and she said, oh, you Jewish too? And you never answer yes to that question. Are you a Jew? Right? That's like I have it in my comedy routine. Like, are you a Jew? No, no,
Right.
no. And point to the person next to you, right? I'm not there. But and so I thought, why does she keep asking me these questions? And I heard the accent and I thought, oh, okay. And then we left. So you did your thing on my husband, and then we left. And that night, well, before we left, Nurhan came up, and I was like, oh my God, look at her. And my father's last wish was to find my son a good Jewish girl. So I'm like, oh my God, look at her. And I keep kicking my husband or hitting, and he's like, stop it. I see her. Stop it. I'm like, do you think she's single? He's like, well, you don't know how old she is because you look so young. So you could be 16 or 35 or whatever. And so that night he said, please email her. Just you keep bugging me with this question. Ask her if she's single. So I send an email, and maybe 20 minutes later, Layla literally saying, is your daughter single? I'm so sorry. This is very forward, but I'd like to know. And by the way, I'm a matchmaker. And so I didn't give you my website. I think it was just my phone number and my email. And then 20 minutes later, I get a text from Layla, all in Russian, as we're watching.
Just assuming that you speak.
Just assuming, yes, yes. It basically saying, no, unfortunately, my daughter is not, but she has a child and blah, 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 and all that. But maybe I can help you find him someone. And I thought, that is my people, that is my people, because that's how we operate. So, but then you started saying, were you there looking for a medium? And I went, how the hell did she know that? And I started getting goosebumps. I started sweating. I started getting bright red. And I'm, again, hitting my husband going, oh my God, oh my God. And he goes, what? I can't read Russian. Just explain to me what's happening. I'm like, I don't have time for this. So I'm responding back. And you said, is there anyone in your family named Vladimir? And I just started bawling right there. I'm like, how does she know? And he just went on from there. So obviously he kind of made it happen. Not kind of, but from what I understand, they made it happen. So in your own words, tell people how I want to get into what you really do, because you're not a medium. You don't do that work. This is not your thing. But something happened that night, and he came to you and he was bugging you like my dad normally would. He could be very pushy.
No, I think he's adorable.
He's persistent in a good way.
Very, very. Yes, yes. That was a very interesting experience, actually. It was so quick. I didn't even think for a second. So, as we were chatting, I think it was emails or text messages.
Yes.
I can't remember. Text messages, yes. And it just came to my mind, just that name. But you know what? At the same time, the other half of my brain said to me, but she's from Ukraine, so Vladimir, it's a common name. And then at the same time, I get another thought, nope, ask her. So, and then I asked. So I'll tell you this. I don't see spirits. I don't hear spirits. People often ask me, what exactly happens when they come through? I never ask them to come through, actually. because I am not a professional medium. But it started several years ago, and out of nowhere, all of a sudden, I get a thought. And I already know at that moment, at that second, that it's not my thought. So
Mm.
at first it was very scary. I would really freak out. And I thought I'm just losing my mind. I even visited a professional doctor. They didn't find anything. But it's, and then the more I experimented, because I really wanted to practice and see,
Right.
the
After
more
she finally accepted, 'cause
I
that took a
accepted.
while. I
That
mean,
The
this
more
is happening.
fascinated, yeah, more fascinated I would get, and I tried, with my family and friends, and now here you are, Vladimir. So you said to me, yes, that's my dad. And then, you know what? I couldn't even control those thoughts. They just started coming in,
Wow.
on and on and on and on. And when that happens, basically I can't really uh, remember what I heard if you ask me 10 minutes later. So I have to either dictate on my phone, or I
Mm.
have to send a text message to someone whose loved one came through. So basically that's what I did with you. I can't remember if I was I leaving voice messages, or I was actually typing, and I can't remember.
It was both, because I
Well,
remember I was just pacing up and down the room because there were voice messages coming in, but also text messages. And
exactly.
it was mainly in Russian,
Yes.
but there were some little things that I type very slow in Russian, so I couldn't even keep up. So I was starting to leave messages back because you were asking questions. And this whole time, my husband is just, what is happening?
I
What
can
are you
imagine.
why are you crying? I was crying, I was
You
laughing.
were crying. You told me you were crying. And you know what's interesting? And all of a sudden, I get another thought in Russian: slow down, slow down. And I knew that was coming from him. I think he was just worried about you, because I was just attacking you with all with all those messages. It was incredible, but I could feel it was a very unique, pleasant, actually, feeling, amazing emotions. I don't know your father. I've never
Right.
seen him in real life, but it felt like I've actually known him for many years. Very, very interesting. And he basically wanted me to deliver a few very important messages. At this point, you need to help me because I can't exactly
Yeah.
remember. I think you were blaming yourself, you and your mom, but he didn't want you to blame yourself.
Right. Yeah. It's still, and that's part of grief, and I
Yeah.
think when you lose someone so suddenly, so shockingly, that till they just so many things. And they missed the exit that morning going to surgery because my brother was driving and they haven't been there before, and they could have not made it. So the thoughts are always, well, had they not done it, a couple weeks before that, they tried changing the appointment because doctor couldn't make it. The tumor, although benign, it wasn't growing very fast. So my dad said to my mom, well, maybe I don't need to do this. It's growing very slowly. It was like 2 millimeters. Maybe I don't need to do this. But every doctor says, no, you do. It's going to
Yeah.
keep growing. So, of course, there's so much guilt. And that was our question is, first, does he know what happened? Second, are you mad at us for kind of pushing you to do this? And are you okay? Are you surrounded by loved ones? Are people there? Is your dad there? Which you've answered so many of my questions. And I don't, it would take hours to even go through all of that. I wanted to share with people what you really do, because that's not even, to me, that was like such a gift, because I not only felt better, but I got a bit of closure.
Yeah.
And, not everyone gets that chance, because there's so many, just like in my profession, there's good people and there's bad people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And friends, people I know were actually sending me names of people who are actual mediums, or they call themselves that. This is what they do. And I think I shared my experience with one of them, also Russian speaking, and it was a nightmare. It was a complete nightmare. I didn't sleep for days after that. It was so hurtful. It was so wrong. Even if she was hearing these things or feeling these things, I don't think you should be sharing some of
Right.
these things, like, oh, he had another 10 years to live. It's like,
Yeah.
how do you say that to someone who's grieving, even if that is the case, right?
Right. Exactly.
You're
But
doing
that was not the case. You remember what I said.
Thank you. Yes. And I reiterated to my mom. And in fact, I talked to her this morning about your other text messages from the other day, which was really funny because I was telling my boys, my relatives are attacking her. Like she has to work. She literally said,
Every morning I wake up, hello, how are you guys? How are you doing?
I love it. I love it, but you see how they could be like that. So share, a little bit about what you both do and how you started. How did you gift your talents, come to be?
We started at the same time, is that right?
Well, I'd say it was a little earlier, but
Yeah, true.
and because I had this huge spiritual awakening, and it happens with people when they usually are at like their crisis or something's going wrong. You don't really, if everything's going perfectly, you don't really open up for more answers. And so, when there was a time in my life when I had to make a really, really important life-changing decision, and I didn't know where to turn, and I was getting opinions from several different sides, and my God, it was just adding to the confusion. And so one day this book just kind of landed on my lap. It showed up in one of my apps, and I was like, I did not add it in that list. That's so strange. It was there as like a book that I added to my own list, The Law of Attraction. And so, I read it, and that was it. My life completely changed. Everything made sense. And so I came to her and I was like, you have to read this book. It's just mind blowing. And after I was exposed to that information, all these changes started happening to me. I was always sensitive to energy ever since I was little. I'd be like, even I remember I was 7 years old and people would have me just scan without touching someone's body, just going like this. And then I'd feel like tingling sensations. And I'd be like, here, mom, like I feel something here. And then, the person would say, oh, I had surgery here, or I have like liver issues. So I didn't.
First of all, why? Wait, go back. So people were just random people are like, here, scan my body. Like how?
I mean, like
relatives.
friends, family, when people would be over, my mom would sometimes share like, oh yeah, my daughter's sensitive. And so as like an experiment, people would be like, can you do me? And so I would just kind of do this like an inch away from their bodies. And then I didn't understand it. All I knew was like, I felt some kind of sensation. And so I'd be like, right here, I feel warmth. And then it was always the case that there's some kind of issue going on in that area. I never expanded on that. It just was kind of there. But when I had a couple of years ago that awakening, I would say that's when I tried, like really embraced it and started to learn more about it. Became so passionate about it because I was like, this changed my life. Everything makes sense. I realized like you literally have control over everything that happens in your life. Like your thoughts can completely change your reality. And so it became like a huge part of my life to educate others about it. So that's pretty much how this kind of collaboration happened, because I told her about all the stuff. And so she kind of had the knowledge just by reading the books that I recommended. But her transformation didn't happen until she had her own crisis to deal with a couple of years after mine. And so you can tell your side of the story.
And
now.
I guess it meant to be. To be honest, that's what the universe, wanted us to go through.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm a mathematician, and I only believed in science. That's it. I mean, I was spiritual, but not to that extent. But until something happened to me, and it basically changed me tremendously. Um, my spiritual journey basically started on the day when I found out that my sister, I only have one sister who I love very, very much. And I found out that she got very, very sick. Um, she's fine now. She's fine and everything is fine. But back then, I experienced all the different kinds of emotions. So anger, fear, panic, and I got depressed. And
We thought we were gonna lose her.
we
Basically,
thought we were,
doctors said like that's it.
we
So
thought we were going to lose her. So
What did
I
you,
had
what
all
did you
these
have?
insane emotions. My life turned upside down. But then, you know what? That's, I think, the love that, I have to my sister, that unbelievable, incredible, powerful love. And then that keen desire to help my sister do something so that she becomes healthy and happy again. I think that's my opinion, triggered this gift. What gift? The ability, the ability to heal people.
and it started with a dream, right?
And oh yeah, believe it or not, that transformation basically, it happened overnight. So I had a very interesting, vivid, clear dream, and some sort of voice said to me, "This is it. From now on, you're gonna heal people." You know what? I woke up in the morning, and sometimes we forget dreams. Sometimes we remember certain parts, but that was it felt so real and it felt so strong. And I felt like I was actually getting goosebumps, and I would feel, it's like heat waves coming
Mhm.
from the top of my head, going down, and then it's really very, very, very strange feeling that I will never forget. But then, you know what? Back then, I still thought, heal? I'm a math person. How can I possibly heal? And then
Right.
I decided, you know what? I'm going to work on my sister. I'm going to work on my sister. That's what I need to do. And that's how it started. And then, you know what? Then I just started educating myself. I wanted to learn more and more about it. And as a math person, as a physicist, I always believed in quantum field, and I read a lot of books about it. My dad is a physics professor, and we always talked about it. So I really got into that area and decided to learn and dig in and learn more and more about it. So then I decided to take a very, very intense course by Richard Gordon. He's a founder of Quantum Touch International Association.
One of the best healers in the
Healers.
United States, actually in the world, to be
He
honest.
is
He's very famous.
He's incredible.
He's healed people from brain tumors and like right on the spot in one session.
He is incredible. But then I felt like that was not enough. So I wanted to try something else. And then I met this incredible person from India. And he is a well-known quantum healer, and Sachin Kaur, and I'm still in touch with him. And he's, he basically became my mentor. And then, you know what? And then I just started experimenting, trying to heal my friends and family. And the more I did it, I felt more and more powerful. I felt stronger. And I would become so much more confident. And the other thing is, back to that mediumship. As I said, I'm not a medium, and I don't want to do this.
She says that, by the way. But one day she's just gonna have to accept it, because they keep coming in so
They
involuntarily.
do.
But
They do. Mediums usually, the people come to them and they try to connect. And if your loved ones come through, then, you start delivering messages. It's a little bit different in my case. I don't do this for, as the part of my business. But when I work on a client, sometimes all of a sudden it starts, as I said, with one thought, and I already know it's not my thought. And then I just, ask for permission, because you can't just start, telling people that's,
Yeah.
I'm a healer. I don't want to scare them. And then usually people say, yes, please tell me, that's my husband, or it's my brother or cousin. Sometimes I hear names, and I think in your case, I you know what, I thought it's Maria or maybe Marina, and I think I asked you, who is that person, right?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I the names come actually through, and I basically I tell people what I hear. It's hard to interpret, so it's very quick. And sometimes I feel like those are just random expressions, messages. But people who I talk to, they know exactly what I'm
Right.
talking about.
Is it
And I'll tell you this, you know what? It makes me actually feel good, because, yes, people cry and they give me a hug and they cry and cry. But at the end, they always say, thank you so much.
It's peaceful.
It's
closure.
peaceful.
And it's not just with her clients, by the way. Like, she'll be getting a facial or getting a haircut. And then all of a sudden she'll be like, oh my God, I shouldn't say anything. And then she asks the person, like, is it okay if I give you a message? And then next thing you know, the person giving her a facial is just bawling her eyes out, sitting
Right.
next to her. So
Well, I would imagine that happens all the time. And I was thinking, preparing to record this podcast, was that it'd be funny if things started to come up while we're doing this.
yeah.
But the thing is, first, obviously, people have to be open to it. But I wonder how much. So before all of this started happening, all these changes, both of you, and did you believe in all of this? Did you believe that, souls move on, that this isn't the end? Did you believe that they can be reincarnated? They can be, all these things that you see, you hear. Did you believe all of this before?
How about you? Did
Well,
you?
yes, I've always had a very, it's funny because we grew up in Azerbaijan, and it used to be part of the Soviet Union. So religion was like not a thing, but it's a Muslim country. So I've had that influence on one side. Then I've had the Jewish upbringing from the other. So I've kind of read all the books, all the, the Torah, the Quran, everything. I still had so many questions. I'm like, God, it doesn't fully
Right.
answer what I want. Like, it's just, there's a gap there. And then finally, when I learned about all this other information, like spirituality, it's just like, we're all one. Souls are living, like, this is the video game. This is just a temporary experience. So the soul can get some contrast, some challenges. It's fun. It's exciting to come here, have this experience, and then go back home and, continue doing what you're doing, and then do it all over again. So when I learned that, yeah, it resonated so much. It finally made sense. It made sense how psychics can tell the future. It made sense how people can heal. It made sense where, like, spirits come in, reincarnation, all of that stuff. It's all true. It comes from the same.
And then she
root.
started mentoring me.
Well, I mean, yeah. So, but then she had firsthand experience with that after. But I think even going all the way back from, like, our days living in Azerbaijan, we always believed it because you were healed by an energy healer.
Yes.
Like, there was she at one point had a health problem and she needed surgery, and they were like, you shouldn't wait. This is, like, time sensitive. The surgery was, they already scheduled it, picked a date. And then she heard about this one lady who was an energy healer. And that woman said, give me 3 months and you won't need it anymore. And everybody was going crazy. My dad, everybody was saying, what are you talking about? The doctor said, this is time sensitive. And she was like, no, I have to try this. And then 3 months later, the woman's like, all right, go to that same doctor and get a mammogram. And she went back to the doctor, and they were all just completely mind blown because
it disappeared.
Everything was just as if it never happened.
Wow.
So we knew from the first, ever since then, we knew there's something to it. And yeah, it's just been a passion of ours to spread the word that you like, you can't just listen to one doctor like, oh, there's no hope and that's it. No, there's answers. There's so much more. And just because we can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Exactly. But that was 30 years ago. And I really couldn't understand how it worked, what exactly she did. Well, now it makes perfect sense to me. But back then, and what's interesting? She said to me, Norhan was very young. She was like 3, 4 years old. And she said to me, you know what? One day, you and your daughter, you guys are so powerful. You're gonna do something together. I was thinking to myself, it's funny. She's the baby. What is she talking about? And she, but we're still friends. We still talk. She lives in Azerbaijan and she knows all about us. And the other day she reminded me, she said, do you remember I told you?
I didn't know that.
So yeah. So we decided to start our business together. So the company is called Layla and Aura Awakenings. And who is Aura?
Yeah, well, this is my second name, but yeah, pretty much like she does the energy healing part. So let's say if a client comes in and they've got some physical issues or they want to work on the emotional issues, so she takes care of that part. But if she notices that that person, is struggling with a lot of anxiety or their mindset, their way of looking at the world, like, there's something we can work on there. Or maybe changing the diet, like, incorporating more wellness. Yeah, exactly. So if she notices that, then this is where I come in and I help work with that person to kind of just change their lifestyle and kind of rewire the brain. And that makes a huge difference. It speeds up the healing so much faster because then you open up, you start believing, you change your habits as well. Because that's another thing I am super passionate about is nutrition. And so, and that's when you see the results really quickly.
And emotional too. Yeah. Well, it's funny because we keep talking about other things, and I have so many specific questions. So, but before I get to my next question, the funniest thing is that our son, our oldest Tyler, one of his first words, if not the first word ever, you can't imagine what it is. His first word was Azerbaijan.
What?
No. It was like, wait a minute. What? Can't even, I think he was saying like mommy, mama, daddy, whatever. Yeah. And then out of nowhere, he started saying, it was kind of gargled, it was like Azerbaijan. And I was like, what did you say? Azerbaijan. And then he got clearer and clearer. I'm like, what?
Wow.
What? And I wasn't really good about speaking Russian to my kids, but they heard it all around them. Right. And I remember we joked about it. And my husband or someone the other day because I was telling them about you, that's where you're from. We're like, oh my God, that was his first word. I was like, that was one of his like first, if not the first.
Very interesting.
Right? Wow. Which has nothing to do with anything, but obviously there's some connection, but
absolutely,
that's a huge. I never like the word coincidence because there's no such a thing as coincidence. It's a synchronicity. Right. It's like meant to be.
Yeah,
and it's such a difficult word.
I mean, like out of all words, nobody can pronounce that word. I usually have to spell it out to people so many times,
and most people don't
on a map,
and they don't even know where it is or what it is. But so I guess, kind of going back and, we'll go back and forth to different topics and what you do, but do you, just from everything that you have studied and learned and do you think the soul spirits, do they know when their loved ones here will pass? Do they know, like when they come to you and they talk to you, have you ever heard someone say, well, their time is coming or they're going to get sick or this or that? Do they know?
They do.
They do.
Because everything is happening now. There's no future. There's no past. It's a very difficult, complex concept to understand and accept, but that's what it is. So they do know. And I chose, and I had to work on it for a long time. And I chose not to pick up on those messages.
Mm-hmm.
I am a very emotional person myself, empath,
Mm,
Yeah.
and so I don't want to know. I just
right.
don't. You can tell me anything you want, and I'm happy to deliver your messages to your loved ones. Just don't tell me anything about that. So it's a process. I had to learn how to manipulate the energy and how to, um,
Mm.
make sure those kind of messages don't come through. But yeah, they know
No.
absolutely.
And
But also, we're not even meant to know that kind of stuff. You know, they say
right.
that a soul kind of makes a contract before it chooses to
Yes,
come to this earth. So even though we have free will and we make the decisions and we get to choose the entire journey, but there's certain things that is contracted to happen because the soul wants to have that experience on
exactly.
earth. That's the whole point of coming here. So choosing like the day of the death, sometimes it's inevitable. It's like, I don't care how you get there, but I'm still going to make it happen because I'm done with this game and I want to
Yeah.
go home. Or like a marriage or meeting a certain person. Like there's
Yes.
certain points in life that it doesn't matter. Like you could move to another country, but the universe will bring you to that person.
Exactly.
So, and then when it comes to those kind of messages, that, you know, we lose our memories coming to this planet because we're supposed to pretty much play this game the real way. If we knew all the information of what's going on up there,
Yeah.
we
What
wouldn't
would be
take
the
life
point?
seriously and everybody would probably be committing suicide. Who's like, oh, well, it's okay, we're going up there. So we lose our memories for a reason. So that's why even if a psychic tries to channel specific information, if we're not meant to know it, they're never going to give us that
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
Even
Wow.
if it's something good that's about to happen. For example, there's a mission they like, because we're exposed to a lot of psychics from this work, and so people would look at me and they'd be like, oh, you have this huge mission that your career is going to completely change. This is when I was still doing something different, and I'm like, what is it? They're like,
Mhm.
they're not telling me. It's going to be a huge transformation, but they don't
Yes.
want you to know because there's a
Mhm.
very specific path and there's a specific way you're going to get to that.
Exactly.
So
But
Exactly.
yeah.
is that kind of why some of these messages that you receive, even the things you shared with me that my dad has said, they seem kind of cryptic. It's almost like, we're not supposed to know, but we're supposed to know. Some of the things like, I left you this. Well, what is it?
Yes.
Tell me what it
Yes.
is.
Mhm.
Well, you need to go and figure it out. Is it that because of that reason? Like we have to figure it out for ourselves?
Exactly.
It could be something
No,
different.
no, no. You're right. You're absolutely right. Yes, I remember.
Mhm.
He left something, and I can't remember exactly. Was it a note or so? But something, and you're gonna find it. But you told me you tried to look around, but you didn't find it. And then I heard heard that message again. They will find it
Don't worry.
when it's time. When it's
Yeah.
time. So it's so much easier just to say, "Come on, I want them to find it. It's right there. Just tell them to."
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So that
It's
makes sense
very-
because, even just talking to my brother who went to a medium, he lives in Northern California, and he it was so cryptic, and you so like figure it out for yourself. And he was not really a believer from the beginning. Now I think he's kind of been a little bit more, especially with a lot of the things that you said, because,
Yes.
I would tell him things, and a lot of it seemed like, well, why can't they just tell us what it is? And now I'm understanding the reason of why we don't, which kind of brings me to the next question. What kind of, sort of, it's like they pop up as we're talking. So, talking about reincarnation and all of that, and what messages you receive while you're healing people, do you think we bring medical, physical, whatever issues from our other lives to this world or to our new life when we reincarnate? Have you seen that? Or do they leave it behind?
I think we have the same opinion about
Well, give
this.
yours and then let me see.
Yes. Well, what I personally think, no, not exactly.
Hmm.
People actually, they actually do this to themselves. But again, why do they do that? Uh, because that's how it meant to be. They have to go through a certain process. Now, they say when you get stressed, uh, you start getting panic attacks, or you can get very sick, very sick. Um, but some people can kind of, they're able to, handle the stress. They
Right.
meditate. Some people are better than others, but some, they just they go crazy, and they actually do this to themselves, and they come up with the different stories, and they visualize things, and they think about it constantly. They make themselves
No.
sick. So it doesn't mean that they brought it from that other life. We choose
Yeah.
our own path. We choose our own path. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm doing something wrong right now, but you know what? I can actually work on myself. Maybe it sounds, it's like easy to say, but
Right.
no, it's actually true. I can work on myself to completely change my mindset and to choose a different path. Now, is God going to help me? The
Right.
universe is going to help me? No, I'm the only one.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
what I was going to say is that's what I was talking about, where your thoughts have so much power. A lot of
Exactly.
people think that you think a thought and it just lives in your head and that's pretty much it. But every single thought that you ever put out is put out into the universe, and it's energy. So just like sound, a
Mhm.
specific pitch can actually break a glass. You can't see it. And sometimes
Right.
it doesn't even have to be loud, but it has a specific frequency that can make that physical change. And so, same thing as thoughts. Every thought that we think is a specific vibration, it's a frequency. So then what it does is goes out into the universe, and then the universe brings other thoughts, other situations, other people that match that same vibration. So if you're constantly putting out thoughts of fear, worry, guilt, well, the universe is a mirror. So it's good and bad. It's good in a way where you have
Mhm.
so much power, but it's bad if somebody doesn't know this information, they're miscreating. And
Mhm.
so you're putting out those thoughts. It's guilt, fear, worry, everything in between, same low frequency. So what
Right.
happens is you attract
You
other
attract.
things with that same frequency. So that's why people say, "Oh, I don't understand. I woke up like this. It was already a bad day from the beginning. And then I spilled my coffee, and then I went to work and I got into an argument, and it's a chain reaction. And it's not because it's a coincidence, it's because that's the vibration. So
The energy.
you're receiving everything that you put out. And so same thing with disease.
Right.
Your body, it needs that energy to flow freely. It's just like plants. Any living organism, it has a life force. And so our soul is that life force. You could call it soul, you could call it energy, but it's
Source.
pretty much something that has to constantly flow. But when you're stressed or in panic mode for a long time, or fear, you tense up inside. You're in this fight or flight mode for a
Yeah.
long time. We're not meant to be in that state for a long time. And so we block certain areas of our bodies from that life force, from entering. And so that's where we can create disease, unfortunately, because that area of your body is not receiving what it needs. And so all you really have to do is just change your mindset, change your belief system. And as you raise that vibration, well, guess what? First of all, you notice the difference internally, how you feel first, then on a physical level, and then you start creating the experience that you want, because it's the law of attraction, where the
Mhm.
vibration is here. Okay, well, now you're attracting things that match that vibration. It's here, now it's getting even better. And so
You know what?
yeah.
Sorry, I
Yeah,
interrupted
yeah,
you. A
yeah.
very interesting example. My parents live in Massachusetts, and when I was visiting them a month ago, my dad, he has the severe form of diabetes type 2. And one day when I was there, his sugar, I mean, it went up. It was really bad, like 270, 280. And he has he uses this app. I forgot what it's called. It's on his phone, and he has a little, it tracks his, So he has basically he monitors
Sugar.
sugar.
Yeah.
So, and when we looked, it was terrible. And he said, you know what? I don't know what to do. And my next injection is going to be in 2 hours. I can't do this insulin now. And whatever. I said, Dad, don't say that. That's wrong. What you just said is wrong. You can help yourself. And he said, how? What do you mean I can help myself? The power of mind. So it didn't really, when people say you're a healer, well, I thank them. It makes me feel good. But at the same time, I always say, not really.
You're facilitating.
I am a facilitator.
Right.
You heal yourself. Your body heals itself. So that's exactly what happened with my dad. So basically, I spent about 10 minutes just talking to him and trying to, convince him that he can actually heal himself. I'm just here to watch. And you know what's interesting? He wanted to get better. He decided that he can do it. And it's interesting, right in front of his eyes, the blood sugar started going down, down, down by 80.
Wow, that's a lot.
80, I think. And it went down, and it went down to 200. And then he said, you know what? I'm a little bit dizzy. I said, well, of course. It was so fast.
Great.
So of course. And then I said, Dad, you need to practice. You need to learn how to do this. You can help yourself. And I always tell my clients, you can actually heal yourself. You don't need another person, another healer to work on you. Even when you have a severe headache, migraine.
Yeah.
You can help yourself.
Energy doesn't need to be instructed. I mean, it knows. That's how a baby can come out of the womb. That's how, we don't need that. Like, that's why we don't need to give instructions to our body to breathe. It knows what to do. So all we have to do really is just open up. And people forget how to do that. Kids are very intuitive. They have this knowledge. They know how to do it. That's why they can be crying. And then 5 minutes later, they're happy, so easily distracted because they don't hold on to negative energy. They don't have a grudge for a long time.
That was my question. So is it just letting go of that and breathing, calming yourself down, literally being your own therapist and just talking yourself down from the ledge and letting go of that past trauma, issues, whatever it was, right?
Exactly. You literally nailed it right now, especially the past. The past is toxic. Even if you've got great memories and you're looking at photos of when you're young and you're with your children, it still most likely will alter your energy in that moment because you're reminiscing. You're thinking, oh, those good days, maybe I'm not ever going to have this again. Yeah. So really, the best spiritual teachers always say, we don't recommend revisiting the past because it happened already. Leave it be. You have zero control over what happened. The future, you have zero control. The only time that you have control over is now. Literally now. This is an illusion. This is an illusion. We're here right now. And so if you accept that, just contemplating that is enough to actually let go because you accept the fact that, yeah, that's true. Why would I revisit them? It's tempting. The brain makes it very tempting, but you just choose. You have the power to do that. So you say to yourself, no, go away. I'm not thinking about you anymore. You happened. I'm not thinking about you anymore either because I don't have control right now, future. So I just want to focus on this exact moment. Do I have an actual problem like right now, the second, just sitting here in a safe space? No. Okay. Well, then let's focus on that for 10 minutes. And in the beginning, the brain is going to be really, it's going to resist because you've got, it's all wired. It's chemical, like connections. And so it's going to say, no, you should be reading a book right now. You should be doing laundry. You should be doing, why are you sitting here? You don't sit here. But It's like training a dog. Joe Dispenza always says that. He's one of the best meditation teachers in the world.
You can tell this is her job. See?
Yeah.
That's what she helps me with. I heal, and she works with your brain.
It's just
The
yeah.
mental.
So long story short, you have the control, and don't be discouraged if it's difficult and challenging in the moment. It is normal. But the more you do it, the easier it gets over time. And then you're gonna completely like be blown away by the power that you have, because you'll start noticing the patterns changing.
Right. So in your dad's case, it was literally just calming himself down.
Yes.
And so that's why you always say meditation, it's very helpful. If for people like me, meditation is just impossible because my brain 24/7, it does not shut off. Even when I sleep, my dreams are incredibly vivid. I mean, I have pages and pages and pages of what my dreams are about, and it literally goes from one story to another story. It's like a movie, constant, you know. But what I wanted to touch on, something that I've always kind of questioned, and I can never pronounce this word. This is where, you know, I've been in this country for 35 years. I was 13 years old when we came here, but there's certain things about English. So I want to see how you pronounce it. Manifest. I cannot say. I know it's not manifest. It's
manifest.
How do you say it?
I say manifest.
I can't say that. I don't.
Are you kidding me? Look at my accent.
Yeah, I have a problem with that word. It's like iron. I cannot say iron. I keep saying, well, I'm saying it.
Weird one.
Right? So
anyway, it doesn't make sense sometimes.
Yeah, but my point is, how do you feel it? Because what you just said is basically you manifest. Oh, I almost said it. Manifest literally your problems, your destiny, your future, your everything, right? So you bring it. So people keep saying, you know, manifest what you want for your future. Do you think it's actually positive or it's a negative thing? Because you could bring about anything, disease, problems, right?
Yeah, honestly, that's why it's like it's a blessing knowing this information, because it's so empowering knowing that no, it's not somebody up there judging me and telling me, no, you deserve this, this is gonna what's happened to you. You have the power to create your experience here, but it can only be negative if somebody lives their whole life without finding out this information. And then you feel like you have no control over life is happening to you, and you know you have bad luck and all this stuff. But
and you're obsessing over this one thing that you need. I need to make more money. I need to do this. I need to do that. So that becomes an obsession, which will make you sick.
But see, she says, I need, I want. But the thing is, the key is, you don't say, I need and I want. You say, I have it. I know it sounds weird, but remember we said everything is happening right now. So it's hard, but you need to imagine, visualize, just try, you know, that you, as if you actually have it all now. You know, people talk about affirmations a lot. It's not, that's a great thing actually. And when they, you know, when they use those affirmations, did you notice they don't say I will be,
right?
I am right now, because there's no future. Everything is happening right now. So when a client comes to me and says, you know, I haven't been able, the most recent client, I haven't been able to sleep for 10 years at all. It's just insomnia and nothing bad. I'm healthy, but I cannot sleep. So I just sit and read the books and watch TV. So the next day, the person feels tired, of course. So that's what we worked on. That was all about that, her brain. We had to, and Norhan is great at that. So, you know, as I work on someone and you know, I work on other physical issues, but when it comes to brain, she actually helps me a lot. She helps people to understand that that lady, she's fine now. she sleeps. She goes to bed at 10 and she wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning. She wakes up only once. Why? Because she had to work on herself. And she kept on telling herself, I actually sleep great.
Yeah.
I'm fine. Because she was focused on the past. I'm not able to sleep. Oh my God. And then,
Oh,
What she's
after,
attracting.
that's what
That's
exactly.
yeah.
And
your
after our
brain.
first session, she would be like, "Oh, do you think I'm going to be able to sleep? Do you think?" Of course.
Yeah. It's the brain is so powerful. I know, especially with that example, 100% I can relate because I get so anxious when I travel because the first night wherever I am, I typically can't sleep.
Right.
But I realize over the years that I'm making myself not sleep because I'm obsessing about the no sleeping,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
I
Yeah.
will come prepared with valerian root. This is a very, Eastern European
Yeah.
thing. My grandma used to drug herself up with valerian root all the time. I joke
Ours
about it.
too.
Okay, so it's not just mine. I thought my grandma was like, she would give it to us just to go to sleep. Here, take this. You'll fall asleep right away. Sometimes you can't sleep as a kid. And but she was the calmest person I've ever known. I didn't know if it was because of the valerian root that she took all the time. She fell asleep when makeup artist was doing her hair and makeup for my wedding. She literally fell asleep in the chair because she was so anxious about the day. I don't know how many she took. It may have been a handful of them, but she was out. But when she woke up, she was ready to party. She's like, let's do this. I slept through the hard part. Now let's go party. But my point is, what is my point? That I now recognize that I just need to calm the fuck down. Excuse me, and it's literally
Yep.
what it is. I make myself, and I know so many people that do that. You overthink about something, and I can make myself sick, just with anything. So, but I have the biggest question of the whole thing, and you guys stop me when you have to go because we could talk about this for another 2 hours. But the biggest question of the entire podcast of your entire life, probably. Okay, are you ready?
Oh, I'm curious now.
Okay. Do spirits, souls, do they see us in the bathroom? Do they see us in the shower? And most importantly, do they see us having sex and do they look away?
It's so funny. So many people ask me this question. Yes.
Yes. Oh,
But they don't judge. They don't judge like we
They
do.
don't.
okay. So, like, if you're
They're
doing some
allowed to
crazy position or, like there's certain things going, they just kind of move on or.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, go ahead. What do you think?
well, I mean, I was gonna. Yes, it doesn't mean that they're constantly visiting us. Like
Yeah.
they'll usually come through because it takes effort for them as well to try, to come in and wait for us to match that frequency so that we can communicate. And a soul can actually be in various places at the same time. So it could be in the future and the past. It could be living its existence like in oneness, and also connecting with us. So, and a lot of people think, so if something's on the other side, like consciousness, does it have a personality? Is it like
Right.
us, like
Yeah.
a person, or is it just like very neutral? And one of the best things that I read in a book called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh, he also channels, and when he asked that question to the consciousness, and God responded saying, why would you even ask me that? I'm the one that created
Exactly.
sense of
Yes.
humor. So why do you think that you guys are all special and then we don't have it? So, and even when people are channeling and communicating with spirits, sometimes I'll see them laugh because they're like, oh, the spirit is making me laugh because they have such a good sense of humor. So they do carry that energy as well. So,
But this is just an energy.
yeah,
I mean,
it's
you
not
don't
judging.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
they're not like, they don't feel embarrassed or, it's interesting. Sometimes mediums say, oh, he or she is so sad and she's like crying or she's so happy. But to me, they don't really have any emotions. they deliver their messages, and as a medium I have to interpret and then deliver it to you, but they really don't have emotions. They
don't have that frequency.
They don't
there
have that
of being
frequency.
fearful or sad.
It's different.
They just want, what they do is have a desire to continue helping their loved ones
Help.
that are still here. And so that's why they'll come in, they'll try to give us signs and messages so that we have a better experience here, because they know what we're going through. But it's not because they're struggling up there and they're jealous that we're meeting someone else or doing this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's all free.
But when they say, and this is, every book I've read and listening to, so many different psychics and mediums, they keep saying that, or I keep reading it, that they have a message. They can't move on until they deliver their message to you. So they can't move on to the higher, whatever, to heaven, whatever they need to be, until they apologize or whatever it is that they have to say to you. So you don't think that's really the case? Like they're fine moving on and they go on to heaven and wherever they're supposed to go?
Some mediums, they've been doing this for many, many, many years, and they're professionals. As I said, I'm not a professional medium. They just come through all the time. And I don't do this for a living. And I don't want, the people who are watching right now, I don't want them to, mediums, I don't want them to get upset and mad at me.
Right.
But I don't think so. I don't think it's like, I have to make sure she forgives me or I can't move on.
They've already moved on. Like,
they moved on.
They've become one with all that creates worlds. It's that same frequency of love, pure positive energy. But like I said, it's usually just them really wanting us to have a better experience, because they have a perfect view of what we're going through. So if we're grieving, or if there's something that could change that would align us to the path that we're meant to live, then that's when they're trying to communicate with us. But it doesn't mean that they're sitting there depressed and stuck because they can't move on because we're not picking up on the messages. They just put in the effort until it's too late.
But you know what I just realized? How come you didn't even remind me? The whole mediumship thing, actually, not the healing part, that I already shared with you. But in terms of mediumship, that started with my grandmother, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandmother, she never believed in God. And, can you imagine a woman from Soviet Union, and people all dreamt about communism and all of that. So she came to America when she was like in her 70s already. And then we were very close. I pretty much grew up in her house. And when she died, I wasn't here. I was visiting my friends in Azerbaijan. So that was a huge trauma. And then when I got back, on about 3-5 days, I don't laugh. I actually felt hurt my grandmother while I was on the computer and doing my work. And I was staring at the monitor, and all of a sudden my grandma came through, and I thought, that can't be, because what is this? How's that even possible? But then I started getting more and more and more and more messages from grandma, and
in your dreams,
in my dreams constantly. And what's interesting, when I'm going through the difficult time, we all have our moments. This is life. She always comes to my dream, and she talks to me, and she basically gives me the directions. My granddaughter, Nurhan's baby, she once she fell downstairs, and she was fine, but I already knew something is going to happen, but everything is going to be fine. Why? Because my grandmother came to my dream, and she was holding the baby and playing with her and singing my favorite song. When I was little, she would sing that Jewish song in Yiddish. She would sing that song to me. And I already know something is going to happen, but everything will be fine because grandma is around. And yes, she fell and nothing, not even a bruise.
All the way down the stairs.
So, and even with your dad, by the way, remember I told you my grandma was with him and she's still with him. And I feel like they're having a good time. And they constantly tell me, all of your relatives, I mean, start with your dad. And then, I mean, party, they're drinking tea.
It's amazing. That is amazing. That really is. I just,
Isn't it amazing?
every time you send me a text, I need like a few minutes to absorb it all and to kind of really take it in, because if anyone else was reading it, they'd be like, yeah, but it's so personal, right? Like my
It
dad
is.
really, especially later, because they were coffee drinkers their entire life. It was huge for them. But later in life, he would rather have had tea. And it's our culture. Tea, we all drink tea, and especially, it's always cold. Even in the hot summers, we still drink hot tea. And hot soup, my mom's still like, I'll make soup. It's like 90 degrees outside. I'll make borscht, or
Yes.
whatever, shivinli soup.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because, and again, I keep reminding you, by the time you tell me when you have to go, because we can keep going. I'm gonna have to break this up into like 2 parts.
We're having fun.
Yeah, my husband wants to. It's so funny because he's gonna join, but he reminded me to ask you, what is a star seed, and why do people need to know?
That's your expertise,
right?
Star seed is here.
Hello.
Hello. Nice
I came in Azerbaijan. That's where it started. Star seed.
I don't know what it is. I've heard the name, but explain it for our listeners what it is and why it's might be important.
Oof. Okay. Well, this one is this is like
complex.
A whole story. But I'll basically, and that's just something I'm learning about right now, to be honest. So it's all very new information to me. But when I learned about it, I was, wow, okay, this is a whole new world that we all have to explore. But basically, aliens, extraterrestrials, they say that certain people have mixed DNA with these beings from another dimension. And so basically there's a very low frequency on our planet right now. That's why we're experiencing war and disease and anxiety and panic and all this fear. That's not really what it's meant to be. Yes, there's meant to be a lot of contrast on Earth, and that's why a soul comes here to have that experience and really play the game. But because up there, it's all pure positive energy. So you don't really have, like, if you don't have darkness, you don't know what light means. If you don't have tall, you don't know what short means. So that's the whole point of coming here.
Right.
But unfortunately, over time, the frequency here, just the vibration is so low, way lower than it's meant to be for us to have a good experience. That's why most people will say, why is life so hard? And so basically the contract is, which is what I'm learning now, is that these beings that are way more advanced as us, and they're way more connected spiritually to, that world, they're not supposed to intervene into our experience. The whole point of this experience is for us humans to evolve on our own. But the only way that they agreed that they can help us is by sending some volunteers to this planet, the star seeds, that are pretty much them coming into a human body. And they, just like everybody else, lose their memories when they're born, and they go through the struggles of life to awaken. And so the whole point and the whole mission for them is to awaken, get back those memories of, whoa, we're actually such powerful beings. We could do anything with our thoughts. And then taking that information and sharing it with the world and changing others as well. And so that's why they say a lot of starseeds, they're more sensitive to energy. They're more empathic. Like they have all these qualities that are pretty common amongst them. And the only way you would know that you're one is if you've tapped in like if you use during a meditation experience, or maybe if like a really good psychic, they would pick up on it really quickly. And so you might have a completely different profession. You might be an accountant, you might be, bagging at the grocery store. But then once you have that awakening and you're a star seed, you have that burning desire to help people. And you don't care how you're going to do it. You just know that you have to help people. And so then that's where your new journey starts. You leave the old chapter behind, and then you open the new chapter.
Especially
and so,
now.
yeah, you might use the,
April.
oh yeah. I mean, April that's another, huge cycle of Earth. And so the frequency is meant to change on this Earth. Like now, Earth goes through a lot of cycles. That's what she wanted me to talk about. And basically, April was that month that pretty much is between the old and the new frequency. And so if people are listening to this right now, probably a lot of you had a really tough month in April. And that is because the new frequency is kind of like this wave is coming to this Earth. We're meant to actually raise our vibration now. And the only way that we can do that is by breaking the old. And so you need to pretty much demolish a tower before you could build a new one. But that usually means that it's radical change. And sometimes it could be really painful and scary. Maybe more divorce happening, maybe more people losing their jobs. And in the moment, it might seem like it's the worst thing that can happen to you.
But it's
that
a
you
shift.
got laid off or you're done with that person. But really, this is the universe pulling the rug under you to force that change into your life, because your new purpose is to educate people and help raise the vibration of this Earth. So that's the short version of a star seed.
No, it's fascinating. But so I guess my question is, what if those people that are implanted in here, star seeds, if they never find out this is what they are, they never do their mission about helping others, changing the world, then does that happen? And if so, do they just kind of disappear and move on to other lives? And
well, that's the same question I had. And what I found out is that we all have a choice when we reconnect with that world, our true self, like our soul, we become one. We have a choice. And so we kind of think, oh, okay, I went down there, kind of got sidetracked, life happened. So then they choose, okay, I'm going back and I'm going back. And so they say that a lot of these star seeds, they keep coming back, and you expand as a soul. So when you come here and you kind of awaken and you gain this knowledge and you start becoming more in touch with that energy and kind of manipulating your reality, because you have the power to do that, your soul actually expands. That's wisdom. That's not knowledge, it's wisdom. And so when you reconnect with oneness again, you're a more expanded soul. And that's the whole point of having this contrast here. So that's why they come back and they come back. And if they don't want to anymore, because they say, like, they have a sense of humor up there too. Like, so Earth is a really difficult place to be in. So some of them are over it and they say, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm hanging out here, or I'm going to another dimension. But a lot of them, it's when it kind of like that becomes your purpose to come back and help people. So that's why they say you're an old soul, or this person is really wise from day one. It's because that experience has been relived many times already.
And by the way, she was talking about, I apologize.
No. I was just going to say that it makes sense for people to, because I've been terrified of reincarnation as long as I can remember, because in my head, I keep thinking, well, knowing my luck, I'll come back as an abused dog or something, or an abused child. I'm trying. But with everything that we've been studying with numerology and, astrology and everything, that's like his subject area. I know that this is not my last life. We know people that this is their last life, here on Earth. But for me, it's not. And, you hear me, if you listen to any of my podcasts before, I talk about that. Like, I do not want to come back. Do not send me back. I do not want to reincarnate. I don't want to be a fucking bird. I don't want to be a dog. But people who study Buddhism and other religions tell me
Yeah.
that you're not going to come back as an animal because we're too evolved. Other people say,
Right, exactly.
so what do you believe? Because there's a lot of us like me that are absolutely terrified. Not that I'm going to remember my past life, but I don't want to be an abused dog, an abused
Right.
child. I don't know why it would be, but
No, we don't come back as
no,
animals.
that's the whole point of expansion. So what I believe from all these teachings and the messages that come in from people that channel is that we evolve, we expand, and so we can't really go backwards. Like, we don't go back to being like a leaf or something like that. We would come back as a wiser person that's more connected with energy. Or you don't have to come back as a person. You could come back as another being if you choose to. And so they say the more you evolve, that's pretty much the dimensions that you end up in, because there's some civilizations somewhere else that are so advanced, they don't speak, they're fully telepathic, they're all very connected. There's no such a thing as money, everything is shared. So it's really fascinating when you learn more and more about this stuff. But yeah, it's empowering to know this stuff. And then over time, I have a feeling you will lose the fear, because you will know that, everything, we reconnect with our loved ones. We reconnect with that really familiar feeling, like, oh, I'm home now. And then you have the choice. Do I want to go back to Earth? Do I want to go to another dimension? And this is going to be my purpose. And then you choose the circumstances that you're born into. And so that's why people say, like, well, if it's all pure positive energy up there, then why would I be born to a bad family or war zone? And it's because the soul finds it exciting that, well, it's a game anyways, and I could change my reality. So I want to be born into that environment so I could see how it's got like a different level to a game.
Like you said, it's a contract.
Yeah, it's a soul contract. So it's all a choice in the end.
yeah,
Maybe,
it's interesting.
Maybe a dolphin.
A dolphin? I don't.
They're smart though. They're really
smart. Yeah.
Julia, you mentioned the meditation. You said you're not able to meditate. It just doesn't work for you, right?
I've tried.
You tried, but it's hard.
It's very hard.
I actually hear this question all the time from my clients, and a lot of them actually say, I can't meditate. You tell me I need to meditate, but I can't. So does it mean my body is not going to get healed? And you know what what I think? I'll tell you a secret about myself. As a healer, I'm supposed to meditate a lot, and I should be good at it. You know what? No, it doesn't work for me. I can't just close my eyes, listen to music, and go into that Zen mode. No, it doesn't work for me, because I'm like a computer. The millions of tabs are open, and I have to be, so pretty much like you described yourself. Now, what I always tell the people, in that case, focus, think. Is there something that you like to do? We all have our hobbies, something that we kind of like to do. Some people, they're not artists, but actually they like to draw. Some people enjoy just, collecting magazines and then just look through them. Some people like, listening to music or playing tennis or walking. So, and I always say, think, and then do that every day. Just do that and make it your habit. Now, look, I can't meditate. And you know what? My soul chose instead. I started playing piano. I am not a professional musician. Never performed in front of the people on the stage. And all of a sudden, I just started playing. And it just makes me happy. And then the more I play, the more happy I feel, relaxed. And now I realized, oh my goodness, I meditate. So I just sit down and I just start playing. Listen, it doesn't have to be anything fascinating. I'm not talking about outstanding classical music. No, it's something that makes me relaxed. And I record my music, by the way. I started doing that, and I use my tracks that I record in different frequencies to, during my healing sessions. So when people, when I work on them, they wear headphones and they listen to those tracks because frequencies can heal. So that's a perfect example. I want to meditate. I want to feel grounded. Perfect. Open my piano and start playing. So
Right.
you should think about this. And this is it doesn't have to be the Zen zone. It could be anything that makes you happy and relaxed.
Yeah, and relax. That's a big one. Yeah, it's very true because I find myself that if I don't go outside, like yesterday, I was on calls all day, everything. I didn't even go outside at all. And that is my stress, and that it what contributes to, the feeling of anxiety and being sad and everything else. I know that for me, being outdoors, whether it's going for a walk, going for a hike, just being outside, even by being by the water, that that is my meditation.
Yeah.
There
So
you go.
when I want to go to that happy place, even when I can't fall asleep, I just go to me sitting on the beach somewhere, in a chair reading a book. So I think that's so important for people to remember that. And I have so many clients, and I'm sure there's people all over the world that cannot meditate.
Yeah.
And people keep telling them meditate, 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 but not everyone can, like this guy, he can just, and he falls asleep. He's out. He can, I don't know if he's meditating, but it helps him. He's very relaxed. He can fall asleep just listening to your music. Like he could be out like that. And that helps him. For me, it actually makes me more anxious. And I remember talking to actually a few clients who I told them to bring down their energy levels were just too high, and they were spinning out of control. It was showing to their potential partner when they would go on dates. It was just people saw them as very high energy and it was stressing other people out,
Yeah.
too much.
Too much. Yeah.
So I was telling, and they said, I can't manifest. It's just not for me. I get very anxious, and it makes me more stressed.
Yeah.
So the idea that it doesn't have to be that particular thing, you don't have to do that everyone else is doing, but find something for yourself. So I think that's really helpful for people to remember.
Exactly.
Find your Zen.
It's all about the vibration and the frequency. So the reason why meditation works, it's just a tool to slow down your thoughts. And then when you get out of your own way, the vibration starts to rise naturally. But you could achieve the same thing by dancing. You could achieve the same thing by laughing and watching a comedian, because it's all about the frequency. So that's why, I read somewhere where it says we'd rather see the entire world celebrating versus the entire world sitting and meditating, because it's the same frequency, but yet you're enjoying yourself. So that's why that's the important thing to remember, and just not get stuck on the past and the future, and just stay present. And that's why hobbies work, because you're present and you're just enjoying what you're doing.
That's
in that
important.
moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To do this purpose. Yeah.
And so I just got you a text about, no, I did not lose a piece of jewelry. I don't think so. I did right before the funeral.
Yes.
I could not, sorry for those listening. Layla just sent me a text asking if I lost a piece of jewelry recently. I love your random questions, because that's how my mind operates. I will text my clients and friends the same thing, just random thoughts. My dad was the same way. And that's what I miss about him, is that he would send the most random text messages throughout the day, or an email, just, or he would say, I have something very important to talk to you about. Call me right now. And it would be like, so I made a reservation for it's really, but he was like that, and just random facts about things. So right before the funeral, I could not find my dad's Star of David. It's a pretty big Star of David. And I created a different chain because his was super long. He never wore it. So I stole it from him years ago. And he knew I had it. But right before the funeral, I could not find it. I know I took it off and I put it in my purse or in a pocket. I don't know why I took it off. And I could not find it. And I was so upset that I didn't wear it to his funeral. And then something just told me to go through a pocket somewhere. I ended up finding it. But I was
You're
so
going
upset.
crazy.
I was going crazy, you know.
Wow.
But no, I don't think I have. Not that I know of.
But you lost it, but you lost that piece and you found it, and that belonged to your dad.
Yes, and I have it. Yeah.
All right. See, he says hello to you again.
Yeah, well, and I told my mom today that look for your little figurines. She's got little, ceramic. There's a
that's
new, yeah, or Yadro or something, some name. They create the little ceramics dolls. The statue, whatever they're called, ceramic little figurines to collect. Mother and daughter. I don't know if she has mother and daughter. She has no. Oh, she does have a daughter. No. The stupidest question. I say these things randomly. Like for a long time, I kept saying, I don't understand why people would tattoo their kids' names on themselves. And he was like, idiot, you moron did that. You have it. I completely forgot because it's on my back and I never see it. And I forgot.
I write all these down. I have a book called Julia-isms, and everything she says, it's hysterical, but it's
You're on a roll, Julia.
It's ridiculous.
Julia, but those figurines, I remember that message from your dad about those figurines, right?
Yeah, that he was messing with them or turning something. Yeah, I told her.
Your mom has those, right?
My mom has it in her china cabinet. And before I left today, I turned them all facing the door like a test. So I told her, watch. She goes, and she said, but how is he going to reach inside the china cabinet to do? I said, well, we can leave the door open a little, but I think they know how.
But he can actually play with the electronic devices. So
yeah, my phone's been doing weird things, and I kept thinking every time I'm passing by their house, and it's either right before I passed their house, or if I passed it and I didn't go to their house, my phone, if it's connected to the car, you know how it has Apple Play, CarPlay, whatever it's called, it will switch from whatever I'm listening to something else. So like if I'm listening to the radio, FM radio, like Kiss FM or whatever, it will switch to Bluetooth to where, you play something from your phone every time. So it's happened 3 times now. And the last time it happened, I just went, Dad, are you here? What are you trying to tell me? I'm not stopping at mom's today. I have an appointment. I'll see her later. I promise I will go see mom. Because he would always be the one texting me, go visit mom, go call mom, go say hello to her.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
getting
awesome.
goosebumps.
And by the way, you're gonna get more and more signs from your dad.
Did you see the text?
I hope so. I think I told you the other day, I was texting with my mom, and we're texting about something random, and then she sent me, he's here. And I went, who's here? I thought she was talking about my son because he moved in with her and he's back home from work or something. And I said, who's here? And she said, what? And so we went back and forth. Who? What? What are you talking? And then she started texting in Russian, like, о чем ты говоришь? Что? Какое? Что случилось? Because I keep, what? What do you mean? I'm like, what do you mean? What do I mean? You said, and I sent her a screenshot, you just said he's here. Who is here? She said, I didn't say that. Well, what do you mean you didn't say that? So I went to her house because she didn't know how to do a screenshot on her phone, and she has an Android. My son looked at it. He said, Mom, it's not on her phone. It's only on my phone from her. I love it. So I thought, were you maybe texting with someone else? and meant to text them that. And she said, I don't text with my Russian speaking friends. We just call. You don't text. No,
That's
you're the only one.
crazy. That's
How?
the perfect example because
Yeah.
they can manipulate technology.
They can.
Yeah.
And of course, she started
Wow.
crying. But yeah. So anyway,
Wow.
I
It's
have
amazing.
taken up way too much of your time, but I do want to do this on a regular basis. I want to keep talking to you guys. There's so much to talk about. I'm
Yes.
going to pose questions to people that listen. I think
Yeah.
people are going to have a lot of questions that they want answered. I want them to connect with you for healing. I know I already had a couple of people that asked me to connect you for medium work, but I'm like, she's not a medium. They're like, it's okay. I still want to talk to her. So I'm going to post your website and everything. Any last minute advice for people and how to get in touch with you?
Well, first of all, we're going to have a big, actually, I would call it show it's coming up soon, June 9th. And basically, I will be playing my digital piano.
She channels.
I channel, right? Because as I said, I'm not a professional musician. So I pretty much close my eyes and I just start playing. And I don't know where that music comes from. And
did you did you play the piano before?
When I was in 6th and 7th grade, in middle school, my parents actually wanted me to learn how to play the piano. So I went to the just music school for 2 years, but that was a very long time ago. And ever since, I always had a piano in my house. It's just a piece of furniture and never really played. I can't read notes. I can't write notes. I just can't. And now when I play, first of all, I said it's a meditation for me, but I record my tracks. Now I'm gonna actually do that. It's all spontaneous. As I said, I have no idea what
it's healing music.
It's a healing music. Oh yeah, that's important.
It's specific frequency.
Healing frequency. And Mary Elizabeth, maybe you can tell them about her. She's a wonderful psychic, and she channels and she calls that source.
Yeah,
divine energy. She's gonna actually channel. She's gonna be walking around. She will be answering people's questions, and not really her, because she will be channeling. So, and while she's talking, I will be playing. So it's all spontaneous. When we don't rehearse, because we don't, I mean, it's impossible to rehearse. So you want to add about that? So
I mean, it's a very unique experience because, like I said, it's a healing experience because you go there, and when she plays the piano, she's being humble about it. But honestly, she closes her eyes and she channels that energy, and it just comes in, and she composes music without thinking about it. It just comes out like that. It's very healing. It's specific frequencies, so it does a lot of work internally, even though you're not aware of it. And then Mary Elizabeth, who is very, very gifted. I mean, she literally just goes into this, I wouldn't even say trance, but it's like within her, and she starts channeling divine energy and just starts speaking. She could look at you and tell you everything about you. And so in this event, basically she's going to read the energy of the room, and whatever's most needed in the room, like what people need to hear, that's the energy that will be pouring in. And so to the music, she will be speaking to the audience,
and I will be healing with my music. So that's going to be a perfect environment, incredible energy, and I think people are going to have a fabulous experience.
Yeah, and that's June 9th. Yeah, I posted it on my social media, but I'll repost again this week as well. So
Julia, thank you so much. Thank you so much for, having us.
No, appreciate it. I want to talk to you more about the energies, and we talked the other day just about the low frequency and the high frequency, and what we can do to get more people to get to that high frequency. Because I was telling Julia about, you get a lot of negativism. We need to have that positive energy.
Well, that's definitely the next topic for next
and that's your purpose too. Like
it's
to bring
my
that information to, like, I feel it so much talking to both of you that this is going to be part of your next chapter, is to getting this message to people.
Perhaps you are the star seeds.
I'm getting that feeling as well, actually.
I have that aura.
Alien. Yeah. It's very interesting the way you kind of learn about yourself and find out things about yourself that you didn't think before. And I think nowadays more than ever, people want to connect to something different and to learn more about not just self-healing, but how to live a better life. We're all hurting after the pandemic and everything going on in the world with all the wars and injustice. And so I really want to thank you guys for being here. We covered so much ground that I'm really thinking of just breaking this up into two sections, two parts, and tell people how they can find you. Your website is
it's LeilaAuraHealing.com. We are on Instagram, but we both are on the same website because we're a team, mother and daughter. So we work together. We have to, because this is how it is. And well, yeah, they can always schedule, the session with Norhan if they need to speak to her, if they need help.
Or they can do a free consultation.
Or they can do the consultation with me. And people often ask me, how many sessions do I need in order to heal? Like 10 sessions, 2 months? It really depends on your body, your energy, and how positive you are and how much you really, really want to get better. So usually, I don't really spend more than 5 sessions on a person, but usually it's 1, 2, maximum 3 sessions. But again, sometimes I get a difficult case and Norhan she has to help me. So then it's a little bit longer. So
yeah, it depends. I'm sure it depends on the issue and each person too. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you guys so much. I absolutely love talking to you guys. And I always get so excited about each podcast, but this one I was really excited. And the fact that you said yes, because I know at first you're like, this is not my thing. I don't like talking publicly, but I think you need to, because that's what makes you so authentic, is even what you said to me the first time. I don't do this. I don't even know what to charge you. Like, this is not. And the fact that you were like talking me out of it, but at the same time, well, but I need to give you this message. Come tomorrow. Just come tomorrow. You took the time. You met with us, well, close to an hour before you had a whole day of this, convention. So it means a lot. And it shows that you're really here for the right reasons. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people they don't do this for the right reasons. So I want to thank you both. And I just have to say, both of your eyes, it's like what the evil eye people wear, the evil eye, that's your eyes. Like, literally, you guys both have these gigantic, like,
this is good.
No, they're good. They're not even. They're good.
Protection.
No, protection. We protect.
Protection. Yes, it's what people wear to protect them from evil eye. Your eyes. So make it
Thank
you. Guys, thank you so much for joining. We'll talk more. There's so much more to talk about.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, definitely we'll talk more, because these topics are infinite. So we're really excited to do this again. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share. And even if you didn't enjoy it, share anyway. Thank you for listening, and come back to Someone Had to Say It.